So what happens when a White House finds itself under siege? And not just from its rivals across the globe, but from within its own walls. That's exactly what we're breaking down today, the two-front war the administration is facing right now. A major crisis of confidence at home, and a really costly, shadowy conflict overseas.
The first place you see the cracks forming, it's right inside the president's own team. We're hearing reports that the inner circle is, and I quote, considerably thinner than it was just a few months ago. And that right there is a subtle but really telling sign of the instability that's brewing just under the surface.
Now, this isn't just one or two people heading for the exit. We're talking about a significant brain drain at the very highest levels of government. I mean, since February, some really key cabinet posts have been emptied out. You've got the Attorney General, the head of Homeland Security, the Labor Secretary, and the Navy Secretary. These are absolutely critical positions, and when they're empty, it creates a power vacuum, a sense of chaos, and it raises some serious questions about policy and just, basic stability.
And all this churn, all this instability, well, it brings one man into sharp focus. FBI Director Kash Patel. He's right at the center of a political storm that really threatens to rock the administration from the inside out.
Okay, to really get what's happening now, we have to hit the rewind button for a second. A couple of incidents from Patel's past have bubbled back up to the surface, and they're painting a picture of a man who's, let's say, no stranger to controversy. Now, you might look at these and think, okay, youthful mistakes, right? But his critics are absolutely using them to build a narrative of reckless behavior, and that narrative is really starting to gain traction in the current climate.
So fast forward to today, and the allegations against Patel are way more serious. They really fall into two different buckets. On one side, you have his personal conduct. We're hearing reports that his drinking habits are becoming a recurring source of concern. And on the other side, you have his use of public resources, with some big questions swirling around his use of FBI aircraft for trips that look, well, a lot like personal vacations.
So, how does Patel respond to these pretty explosive allegations? Well, not with a quiet denial, that's for sure. He's come out swinging with a full-throated declaration of war. He's not just saying the claims are false, he's suing for $250 million. He's basically daring his accusers to prove it in a court of law.
But believe it or not, the turmoil in the White House is only half the story. While one fire is raging in Washington, another one is burning halfway across the world. And we're talking about a very costly and very secretive war with Iran, a conflict that's raising a different but just as troubling set of questions.
So the official story we're getting is that the damage from these recent Iranian strikes is, manageable. But what we're hearing from sources on the ground, it's a completely different story. They're describing a level of destruction that's much greater than what's being admitted publicly. We're talking hits to critical military infrastructure, everything from command centers to vital satellite systems.
Just to give you a sense of the scale here, check this out. In the first week of fighting alone, the U.S. military burned through over $11 billion. That's more than the annual budget of some entire countries, spent in just 7 days.
And listen, that $11 billion, that's just the tip of the iceberg. The cost just to rebuild everything that's been destroyed is already estimated to be in the billions. And the really alarming part, we don't even have a solid number yet. It's essentially a blank check, and the American taxpayer is the one who's going to have to cover it. And all of this leads to this absolutely jaw-dropping figure. The Pentagon is apparently getting ready to go to Congress and ask for over $200 billion. Let that sink in. $200 billion. It's a number so large it's hard to even wrap your head around, and it just speaks to the massive, long-term commitment this conflict is becoming. So you've got these two seemingly separate crises, right? A political scandal at home, a costly war abroad. But they're not as disconnected as you might think. There's a common thread running through both of them. A really dangerous pattern of secrecy and a flat-out refusal to be transparent.
And this lack of transparency has very real-world consequences. I mean, think about it. When the Pentagon won't come clean about the full extent of the war's damage, it's impossible for lawmakers to make informed decisions about funding. And when the head of the FBI is accused of misusing resources, well, that eats away at public trust in one of our most important institutions.
And you can just feel the frustration boiling over on Capitol Hill. One congressional aide summed it up perfectly. No one knows anything, we have been asking for weeks and not getting specifics. That's a pretty damning indictment of the administration's whole approach, and it's creating this deep well of mistrust between the White House and Congress.
And the timing for all of this, it could not be worse for the administration. It's all coming to a head right before the absolutely critical 2026 midterm elections. So yeah, the political stakes could not be higher.
So when you step back, the White House is basically caught in a pincer movement. On one side, they've got a crisis of conduct and confidence festering within their own ranks. And on the other, there's this massively expensive and opaque war that's turning off its allies in Congress. It's really the perfect storm of political pressure, and it's not at all clear how they're going to navigate their way out of it.
Which leaves us with one final, unavoidable question. With the pressure building from the inside and the outside, something has to give. The only question is, what's it going to be? The administration's credibility, its political future, or something far more valuable? That's the question that is likely going to define the next few months in Washington.